Was that your stuff?
What? I don't know if I'm hungry or about to shit myself. G'day and welcome to episode 1 of Guns, Hoses and Stretches.
Oh, fuck, I wrote staging area wrong. No, I'm joking. Are you going to ask questions straight up? So you're just going to say, welcome to episode 2, we're talking about this, and then bam, fire into
I'll shut the fuck up. G'day and welcome to Guns, Hoses and Stretches. No, it's not. It's not. It's actually the staging area. I'm Hayden Mack, and this beside me is Simon Roy Lance.
That's me, ever since I was born.
Or is it Roy Lance?
Roy Lance, Roy,
Roy?
whatever you want to call me, mate.
Okay.
You know the deal?
Simon, we'll call you.
Sounds good.
So, this is episode 1 of the staging area. Why are we here? Why are we recording this? Fuck, I'll shut the fuck up.
Mate, it was a good question. But I suppose it's been something that's been bubbling around in my little mind now for a bit of time. I'd say probably a couple of years, to be honest. Probably even beyond that, really.
Okay.
But, it's just a bit of a thought or an idea I've had. You know, you and I both for a long time now been pretty keen on, I guess, media and podcasting and stuff like that and YouTube channels.
Oh, we did host a radio show together.
We did host a radio show together once that you were the host of.
Yes, the night shift. That was a very long time ago.
There was many years ago, mate. But it was good, though. We enjoyed it.
I actually remember... Oh, we must have been so good because we were talking about drunken nights.
It was Drunken Nights, yes.
All right, and I ended up getting an email from I don't know whether it was the station manager or somebody, and they wanted to use the clip for Alcohol Awareness Week.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah.
I don't know if you ever told us that.
No, I didn't. I just remembered it then.
That's pretty cool.
So,
do we get any royalties for that? Obviously not.
It's community radio.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But it was fun, though. It was a good night.
It was, yes.
And we had, I think Brockers was with us as well, wasn't he? And
yeah, probably, yeah.
Gary D called in at one point.
Oh, mate, I don't know. We'd have to pull out the recording.
Yeah. That was a long time ago, mate.
We might be able to play some clips of it from here.
I reckon we should at some point. Yeah, for sure. But, I guess in a sense, that's kind of where it started with you and I having a bit of fun with that stuff, especially you. You did the community radio for a while there.
Yes, yeah.
And obviously I've had a little bit of involvement in the past with politics and stuff like that, in that sort of space. Yes. And doing all that fun jazz back in 2015 weren't you, part of 16.
You were on Sky News with Darren Hinch.
Sky News with Darren Hinch, on the Paul Murray show.
Paul Murray?
Yeah, which was a great show back at the time. I think it's changed a bit these days, but... You know, that happens. I think media organisations tend to do that after a while. So, yeah, did a little bit of that. And still, that interest has always sort of still been there. And I guess you and I, you know, whenever we catch up and see each other, we're always talking about politics and media and the stuff that's going on. And in particular, I suppose you and I both have an emergency services background in varying different aspects. Obviously, I've worked for a number of state agencies, both as a volunteer and in that paid realm as well. And some federal organisations, and now I do it privately through my businesses and other work that I do, contracting. So one of the things I've always, along that time, had an interest in is that there's a lot goes on in that emergency service space, law enforcement, which obviously, again, I've been heavily connected in that law enforcement and correction space for a bit of time. There's a bit that happens in the military space that a lot of people don't know about. And I think a lot of the time we're not having real robust conversations about where we're going in that space in those agencies from a state level and a national level. And we've had some pretty, if we look at it right now, we're in some pretty interesting spaces across the country with emergency services and law enforcement and things. And COVID highlighted some of that stuff, but it was happening long before then as well. So I guess the idea was to create the podcast. We've called it the staging area. In fact, you came up with it. You came up with some really good names.
Have you checked my paperwork here?
No, I haven't.
I think
no.
you fucking checked.
No, I haven't seen it at all. I saw you've written stuff there, but I didn't actually look at it. Is that what you put in there, did you?
I actually did.
Oh, there you go. We're doing well already. Look at that.
So we're ticking off a few on the running sheet at the moment.
That's good. That's good. So, yeah, obviously we thought of a few different names, but you came up with a list of I think it was like 10 really good ones, and the staging area was the one that you really liked, and the second you said it to me, it just, it sunk in because we know in that space, in those services, we have staging areas where we go when there's major emergencies or major incidents. We all come together a staging area. We might respond to a staging area, and then once we're there, you just broke your fucking microphone. I told you I was going to do it at some point.
Ringing in me.
Heads up, folks. The F-bomb, it's happening. If you don't like it, move on to another podcast because it's coming out, all right? But yeah, we know, we go to staging areas when there's an emergency taking place, and then we come back there at the end of our shift or whatever, and we might have dinner there and we catch up with people. Yeah. And sometimes a staging area is generally a place where you do get to catch up with people and we have chats, and there's some cricket games that get played or footy games get played as well, or people sleeping in or around trucks waiting for their next deployment. But it's kind of the community of emergency service that comes together at that point. So I think when you said the staging area, it made so much sense for what this podcast is going to be about and what we're going to do moving forward with it, we hope. So obviously, we're planning on talking about the emergency services, law enforcement, military, politics, and how they're getting involved in the emergency services, and to be honest, how they're fucking it up, because that's exactly what they're doing in this country at the moment with the emergency services. So we're going to talk about that. We'll probably talk about some other political stuff as well, I reckon, at some point, because you and I have got some pretty good or some pretty strong stances on certain things that happen around this country. So we'll probably have a chat about that, I think.
I wouldn't say I've got strong stances.
Maybe not stances, but you've got good opinions. You've got some very good, valid opinions, and I think that you and I have always been able to battle out our opinions. It hasn't always been the same opinion or an agreement, but we can always have that good, robust, respectful battle. And then we move on, and we have a rum or a beer, or well, not a beer because neither of us can really drink beer, we'll certainly drink some vodka or rum or some scotch, definitely scotch. So it's about being able to, share some opinions on this podcast, and I'm sure people will. I think there'll be a lot of people out there who will like this, like the content that we're going to create. There's going to be some people who disagree with it, and there'll be people who are associated with certain organisations, associations, and unions and things who will be up in arms about what we're saying. But the reality is, this is our opinion about this situation. If people go and research and look at it, they're probably going to work out that it's the way to go. But yeah,
we'd also open it up that this is an open forum.
100%.
So if you do disagree,
you
could get in contact with us.
Share your opinion.
Yeah, just share it on the socials.
Yeah,
whatever we've got.
We'll get it, all the socials are getting. We're putting all that together right now. So we just did did our first post just now, and it's we're getting hit by a lot of people from India who want us to get them to do our social media marketing for us. Not sure if that's quite working out for us just yet, but we will be really clear. Hayden and I are very strong supporters of Australia and Australian community, and we're big on making. I don't want to say making Australia great again, because that's it's probably gonna get a few people laughing or throwing comments at us. But we're big supporters of Australia, and part of the reason we're doing this podcast, I guess, is to voice our concern to people about where we're going, and to try and hope that we can be a part of the process of change. I think is probably a good analogy for what we're gonna hopefully do. I don't know, mate, and have a shit ton of laughs along the way.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. We'll talk about some
Hopefully none of your talking points are that boring that it brings down the tone of the show.
Look, I think some of that... that's possible. I think there's definitely going to be some points in there that are going to be upsetting for some people and touch some nerves on some people, and we will get some serious about... Many of our subjects will be fairly serious, but there's always going to be some light in there and some fun and some antics, and we'll probably do some episodes where it is purely just fun, and we'll maybe make some fun of some of the things that's going on out there, because we got to laugh, got to have fun, but there's some serious stuff in there too that we need to talk about. So it should be good, and generally when you and I are in front of a mic, it normally goes pretty pear shaped. So
yes, it does.
It should be right.
Yep.
As long as
it's been a long time. It's been a while. Last time, so we'll see how we go.
As long as we keep our clothes on, mate, we should be right.
Yep, that'd be the main thing, I guess. Anything else that you want to say?
No, I think that's about it. I think that's a pretty good introduction. For episode 1, it was really about explaining to people what this is going to be about, and I suppose who we are. Have we spoken about who we are? Probably not in great depth, I guess. From my perspective, for some people who know me, or most people who know me, I've been involved in emergency services for, I guess, 26 years is what the paperwork says. But I grew up in fire stations, so I grew up around fire stations from old man's involvement with the Country Fire Authority here in Victoria as a volunteer, and a he's quite a highly decorated volunteer, as you know. You know him very well yourself. And then obviously I've worked with Victoria Police, I've worked with Forest Fire Management Victoria, I've worked with the CFA as a volunteer and paid, I've worked with the SES, in a paid role for them. I've worked for the Department of Defence or one of their contractors in fire management. I've worked for a number of local councils in that fire management and emergency management sort of space. I work for Corrections Victoria. And now, as you know, I now solely work for myself through my clothing label, Militum Apparel, which has been going for a few years now, and also more recently Militum Fire Rescue, which is its own fire and rescue organisation, I guess, in its own right, doing contracting work in the industrial space right across the country, but we've now started to move into assisting state and federal agencies as well in training and mitigation type roles. So I guess that's the background of where I come from, and I suppose that to some people might not be the experience they're looking for us to talk about some of the things that we're going to talk about, but I think it fucking well and truly qualifies to be able to talk about it, because we've seen a lot of things from a lot of different angles, a lot of different agencies, and that there's a common thread in all of the agencies which we're going to talk about throughout this podcast. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't know if we should really say this just yet, but we're hoping we're going to be joined by some people in the coming episodes.
Doing interviews, yes.
Doing some interviews along the way.
Which reach out at least.
Yeah, reach out to people at least, and hopefully get some of them in, and hopefully they'll be, willing enough participants to come along and have some of those conversations and, talk about some of the challenges and no doubt challenge probably some of our opinions and theories as well, which is great. That's what we're here for. We want to learn. So, and obviously we've got the Campfire series, which I don't think we're going to talk about probably just yet.
Well, you've just said it anyway.
But they don't know what it's about yet. No. So it's another component of this podcast and YouTube channel, which hopefully people are really going to love and enjoy. But we've got a bit of work in that space to do yet. But I think that's going to be pretty cool. It's never been done in Australia, as far as I'm aware. I don't think it's ever been done. Not to the format or the way we're going to do it anyway. So I think that'll be fun. But we'll probably leave that one for now and let people know about that when it gets a bit closer.
Well, I do have one question before we go. How many trees does your resume kill when you print off? Because you've got a long list, long list on your resume.
It's pretty big.
Of jobs that you've done.
Yeah, I've cut it down now. Actually, funnily enough, I think it was towards the end of last year, our good mate Brockers, who one day we will drag in here kicking and screaming to talk about some stuff, hopefully. He actually gave me a new version of a resume so that I could cut mine down a bit. So I think it went from 7 or 8 pages down to about 3 pages in a matter of a minute. So, which was pretty good. But it is pretty lengthy. But I still, to this day, I don't believe I know everything in the services. I certainly don't know everything in the services. I don't know everything that's going on in the services. And I've still got a hell of a lot to learn as a firefighter and everything else in between. So we'll keep going at it, I reckon. Got a few more years in me yet. Government keeps changing the retirement age, so I guess I've got a lot of years left in me at this point. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, mate. Should be good.
Oh, well, we'll see how this goes. And, that's episode 1.
That's us done. That was quick and easy.
It.
Beautiful.
That's done.
All right, let's go have a beer. Or a scotch. Probably more to the point. No, a bit early.
I think they're going to notice. They're going to notice that you're talking shit.
Yeah, for sure. Episode 2, it's going to look fairly similar to this one at this point.
And so will 5.
And so will 5. Definitely. So that'll be all right. It's all good.
All right. Thank you very much for listening to episode 1 of The Staging Area. I've been Hayden Mack. That's been Simon Roylance. Hooroo.
See you soon.